Yes, I know. I should be continue talking to you about Antonio's life. But this past week, I realized that one of my heroes was always around me. So I will share this my admiration on today's episode. Sorry about my last minute change. On the first pages of Malcolm Gladwell, David and Goliath book, there's a transcription from the Bible saying, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or in the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord does not see him as mortals see. They look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." 30 plus years ago, a 12 years old kid, small kid, very skinny kid, was playing basketball in his favorite game in a tournament back in Philadelphia, United States of America. The other kids were looked like 16 years old, even though they were at the same age as the small young basketball player. With 12 years old, they had beards, strong arms, dunking on everybody, dribbling like a pro. As you can imagine, by the end of the game, his team had lost the game, and our tiny players scored 0 points. I don't know exactly for how many points they lost, but the defeat was kinda heavy, I think. His father was watching him playing, goes at him by the end of the game and said these words, "No matter how you scored 0 points or 60 points, I will be always loving you and supporting you." This caring and loved message gave him the seeds to grow and becoming the player who he really wanted to be. Year by year, developed his skills like learning how to shoot properly, how to play with bigger opponents. Wasn't overnight his achievements on his goals, but with consistency and believing in himself, he got it. Like in our Bible story, I like to imagine our shepherd, David. Did he become a specialist on using his sling during the night? Or how to kill lions and bears in 1 second? Of course not. David and Goliath is a Bible story, but the miracles occur a few centuries ahead when Jesus arrived at this planet. That skinny, small kid became one of the best players of all time. 5 times NBA championships and influenced all planet on becoming a better person, facing his Goliath day by day. And that's what we like to talk about on this podcast. Yes, you guessed right. I'm talking about Kobe Bryant. His greatness was, and still is, so beautiful that also inspired a young girl. Not that she heard about Kobe's story, but, like Kobe, she is a special girl since from her first day here on Earth. I'm going to tell you a story of a little skinny girl who became one of my heroes. How she, with a lot of brave, faced her challenges and overcome them. Who could imagine that a young girl, apparently an underdog, would be one of the persons that I admire so much, a truly hero. This is the David and Goliath podcast, and I will tell you real stories from normal people who had great mighty wars and defeated their giants. On the day of her birth, it was raining. A dense fog established in the city, bringing the humidity. The conditions were okay for a mother to give birth, but with no air conditioning, everyone was sweating, feeling uncomfortable with the high humidity, including her mother, and I believe so, my hero. Her mother used to say to everyone that she came out with such fury and hurry that it can compare like a thunderbolt striking us, with the blast and the brutal sound. It was so fast that it took less than 20 minutes to move out from her mother's interior to the doctor's hand. She was with a hurry to start living her life. By the age of 6 months, she went to a daycare center school. It's like a school for kids between months of ages until 5 years old. Her teacher said that every time she wakes up, she starts singing, full of joy and happiness, Still is today, when she's happy, she sings. Everyone will start noticing that she had something special inside her. The first signs of an hero was when she was 4 years old. They had in school a lot of toys and bicycles for the kids to play with. She always wanted the bicycle. Of course, the bicycle had a small wheel on the back to support the rider and prevent them to fall. She wanted so badly to ride the bicycles without any kind of support that she practiced every day, until one day his father went to pick her at school and saw her riding her bicycle without the small wheels attached to the rear tire. What? Her father was so surprised that he couldn't believe it. Didn't you know? Asked her teacher to their father. She had done it since 2 days ago. The surprise feeling suddenly went to pride. She had done it, was thinking his father with a huge smile on his face. A truly special one. Normally here in Portugal, like most of the families, everyone likes to watch a football match on the TV. Everyone except this family. Every time the television was turned on, NBA games was shown on the screen. So many times that her older sister starts to play. Like all the oldest brothers in the world, Margarida was her hero. And like her sister, by the end of 2 years, she began to start playing basketball. His father believed that she wouldn't last more than 3 practices. You know, fragile girls, he thought it. Even though basketball is a game where you can touch your opponent, you have a lot of punches and falls. Sometimes can be a very physical one game. And she was a princess who loved to play with her dolls and imagine princes and princesses surrounded by love and not by punches and falls. For his surprise, she managed the touches and even better, she loved it. So she stayed, like her oldest sister, playing throughout mini basketball initiation, sometimes winning, sometimes losing. Playing basketball for her was having fun, loved so much that she started to be one of the best players on her team. One coach noticed her, and by the age of 12, she started playing under the 14-year-old female team. And then the Philistines present Goliath to the God's army. She arrived at the team as the youngest on the squad, the under 14-year-old girls team. Like Kobe, she was tiny, skinny, slow and small compared with their teammates. They also had more basketball skills than her. Of course, they didn't dunk, but the difference was huge. Well, she started practicing and felt a very strong difficulty to improve. Something like a break that was holding her up. Her coach noticed also, but, like a true coach, she tried to motivating the young player, but with no success. The stress of not being able to improve, as she liked to, started to notice on her. Not only in the basketball court, but also in the school. Thought that she couldn't be at the same level of her teammates or the best students on her class, feeling that she wasn't good enough. She wasn't enough. But with a lot of struggle, she continues to improve, reaching the regional team. It's like compare the national team, but in this case, the team of Madeira Island. The first practice had 18 young players from all over the island basketball teams. By the end of the recruitment process, only the 12 best players would be on the team. Like David, being an underdog, she was someone that no one gives her enough credits. No one except her and her coach. Even with so many doubts and misbeliefs, she played with her heart, running and fighting for any possession, always focused on the tasks the coach was delivered to the team, competing with herself to be best version. She passed through the first elimination round. Then by the end of 3 months she was in the 13th best players. But 2 more girls had to go. The last month she practiced like crazy, so much that she hurt her ankle. She couldn't give up, so she braced her ankle without anyone noticed. Being on a regional team was a goal for her, and she would move mountains to have success, like we do when we have faith. Never failed the practice, arriving before the established hour, giving everything on the practice games. No one noticed her ankle, except her coach, one day. She said to me, "One day I was arriving to the practice. Everyone was standing by, waiting for me, except one girl. And it was kind of odd, because she was always one of the first girls on the pitch, except today." She continues, "So I started looking where she was, and I found her on the toilet bracing her ankle. Secretly. I saw it doing, and I pretend I didn't notice or know what happened. I wanted to see how far she would get with her ankle in those conditions, and by my surprise until the end of recruitment process. By the end of 6 months, the underdog tiny girl was one of the 12 best players of the Madeira basketball under 14-year-old female team. The coach gave to all of the players a note. She also received a note like the other players, saying, 'Be you and only you in the tournament. Have fun.' By the month of April, they flew to Albufeira in Algarve, on the south part of Portugal mainland. Her first game against the champions, Lisbon. And guess what? Every girls were so much fear that they make so much too nervous in one game, losing it almost with 40 points of margin. The coach was so angry at them that she said, 'Why you overcome so much? To give to audience this awful presentation? Why are you so afraid of? Have fun, play basketball that you know and not what you had performed these moments ago.' When I said at them, I mean even to our small young girl. Next stop, they played against a team ranked as the small level of hers. I think the coach's screams given on the day before were successful because the Madeira team was playing the game that they knew about. Our hero entered on the second quarter and blasted away, rebounding the ball, assisting with admirable skills, scoring the 3-point attempts, having a marvelous game, having fun. The true champion girl who sang when she woke up by the age of 5 was appearing again, this time on the basketball court. Next time was against a team who had a girl of 1 meter. For a 14-year-old girl, this height wasn't normal, and worse than that, could intimidate our girls, said the coach. Fortunately, this giant, like most of the giants we know, didn't have the skills and wasn't quick enough to have some superiority to his opponents. But the highlight that I would like to point out was our small, tiny girl rebounding a ball over that giant girl. One of the most common moves on the basketball plays is blocking the opponent for having a clear advantage and also switching the direct defense, changing them for a clear shot or dribbling much faster the ball against a slower opponent. At the third quarter, our hero received that kind of block and suddenly had to defend the giant girl. I know the first feeling of defending someone who has 2 times your height. At least you have fear, but not our girl. Of course you have fear, but the courage is when you have this challenge overcoming in your way, and you don't have any kind of option to move them out. She put herself on the front of the big player, and when she started dribbling, she snapped the ball far away and gave an assist to her teammate to score. The stress was moving away from her body, and the true nature was starting to shine again. Suddenly Madeira were moving out to be one of the candidates to win the tournament. But again, at the semi-finals, they had again the almighty Lisbon. And the fears and the ghosts were moving back again. Everyone could feel it. All the bad memories rushing into their heads. But not everyone. Our princess said at the end of the game, everybody was nervous for playing against them, but I was strangely calm. Yes, they were champions, but instead of being afraid, I was normal. I think I was near heaven. And she was, because she made a heck of a game. Did you already have seen Kobe's face when he was on a Black Mamba mode? Mamba mode is the mentality that he characterized him, associating the snake when she was focusing on her prey. Well, she didn't make the same face as Kobe did, but the attitude was there. The best player of the team fouled out with 5 fouls. Our second best player, who could score like hell, only made 5 points at that game. And our hero was rebounding, defending the best players, scoring, fighting for all the possession of the ball, playing like tomorrow would be the end of the world. She was really in heaven. By the end, they lost the game, reaching the 3rd place bronze medal. But you know, there are some medals which bronze is more likely to gold. Do you remember when David went to King Saul, saying that he could defeat the beast? The courage on running towards Goliath when everyone else was so afraid of him? Courage is something that you need to work on your life. The levels of courage rises up at the same pace as the level of difficulties that we encounter in our path. And David was used to defeat lions and bears with his sling and removing the sheep through his mouth with his hands. So for him, Goliath was another lion or bear. The same thing happened to our little princess warrior. She was in a team which she was the most less valuable girl. She had to prove to herself and to her coach that she was special. Like she had 5 when was riding her bike without the small wheels on his back. She broke her ankle. She was almost defeated by her fears. But when the time was to face them, she opened her arms and embraced them as a true present from the divine. A few months later, her club went to Lisbon to play the Portuguese National Championship. And like it happened in Albufeira, our hero was one of the best players, finishing on the 3rd spot again. But not only the basketball skills got improved, also her grades were reaching levels of a true MVP. And what a true example for all of us. You wonder by now who's the girl. Can you guess who is the MVP? My daughter Maria, my MVP, my hero.